Ladies and gentlemen, Congressman Adam Schiff has on numerous occasions stated that Trump worked with the Kremlin or was installed by another country, that he should have been indicted or charged for numerous violations of the law, and he has also stated his opinion pertaining to the congressional panel and accused Trump of, committing or organizing, I should say, the criminal activity of 2 years ago in January, which I condemn. And you condemn. Everybody condemns that. Democrats don't, however, condemn the $1 to $2 billion in property damage. Actually, it's more than that. That's insured property damage. And 19 lives lost, according to Wikipedia, during that summer. So I agree with why people were demonstrating, but there's no justification for such carnage. And when people say, well, it's just property, well, that's not your property. It's not your life. God forbid. But House Judiciary GOP Adam Schiff's cronies snuck in Stephen Colbert's staff to the U.S. Capitol and facilitated unauthorized reconnaissance tours of GOP offices, barely a peep from mainstream media. Why? This is the House Judiciary Committee. You think they're going to investigate this when they take over the House and Senate? It's going to be a monumental, historic sweep. The economy is going to continue to collapse, unfortunately. I predicted all of that in September of 2021. Watch the featured video on this channel. Hit subscribe. The stock market crash channel. Hit subscribe there. And the Bitcoin crash to 10,000 or lower channel. I started the Bitcoin crash channel in May when it was at 30,000. And when it was at like 40 plus thousand, I said it would go to 10,000 or lower, and it is. In September of 2021, it was at around 40 plus $1,000. Anyway, hit subscribe to all three channels, ladies and gentlemen. But this is the House Judiciary Committee, and I know it's not analogous or comparable or parallel or, exactly similar to compare 7 staffers and producers of Stephen Colbert trespassing and engaging in potentially criminal activity. I mean, they did commit a crime in trespassing. I explained in a segment prior to this one, 3 p.m. the tours end. If you go to the Capitol website, 3 p.m. the tours end. How they stayed until 8:30, because 8:30 was when police were called on them. So you can't, even if nothing like really bad took place, although, banging on doors and hitting doors of Representative Lauren Boebert and Jim Jordan and Kevin McCarthy, this is not just a prank. This is like, you have set a standard. You have pontificated and preached and given these sermons about how revered this government building is. And it is revered, and it should be respected. And so you think because you're Hollywood and you're wonderful, morally superior liberal celebrities, who, by the way, spend a lot of money on security and want to erase the Second Amendment, just like Democratic politicians. But that's another. You can go. The hypocrisy is unbelievable. You have Alec Baldwin, who accidentally ended the life of a cinematographer without the armorer there. And we're still very likely, or we don't know if there's going to be criminal charges, but apparently it's been I mean, is there a criminal investigation still ongoing in New Mexico? Who knows? But Democrats and Hollywood and media think they can get away with anything. And you have 7 people arrested. By one account, by one report, they spent the night in jail. And it's like, you don't have the same outrage. You will not have the same outrage. And that says something about American society. If you have congressional hearings, and you have Adam Schiff saying that Trump should be indicted because of his role 2 years ago, well, he actually didn't let anyone in. Adam Schiff let 7 people in, according to reports. So here, That's according to the House Judiciary. I'll read it again. Adam Schiff's cronies snuck in Stephen Colbert's staff to the U.S. Capitol and facilitated unauthorized reconnaissance tours of GOP offices. Barely a peep from mainstream media. Why? So, and then somebody wrote, because they were clearly filming something for the show. So what? They weren't there to end anyone's life. Okay, the issue pertaining to Pence and the vice president, nobody will ever indict or charge Trump with trying to end the life of anyone specific. Again, huge leaps of logic. That's the way Democrats work. That's the way morally superior, highly educated, awesome, wonderful liberal Democrats work. Huge leap of logic. But you never have leaps of logic with Democrats. So they were just filming. They didn't do anything. They were just banging on doors of Lauren Boebert and Jim Jordan and Kevin McCarthy. They didn't do anything. They weren't like Trumpers. No, they weren't like Trumpers. Trump is capable of anything, but he never commits or does the things that he's capable of. He was never installed by the Kremlin. That was 6 years, 5 years of a conspiratorial theory justified by government. So just because government or experts or authorities say something doesn't mean that it's accurate. You can look back at our lofty and wonderful and respected intelligence community. They've been wrong on almost everything. Major issues. I'm sure we need an intelligence community. We need them. Absolutely. Every country does. But you could look from the Bay of Pigs, Gulf of Tonkin, WMD. Tell me when they were right about a grandiose topic. And they certainly weren't right about Trump being installed by the Kremlin. That was an absurd fantasy that people on the left still hold on to for dear life. And so then they were saying, well, Trump, he's tried to, and his cronies and his Trumpers tried to overthrow democracy. They don't even have a functioning primary. There was a liberal journalist on Bill Maher a couple weeks back who didn't even acknowledge that Bernie Sanders was cheated in 2016. I mean, my God almighty, the whole fantasy is that the Kremlin wanted to hack the DNC to inform the world and the country that Bernie Sanders was cheated. Meanwhile, Congressman Schiff was pranked by two Russian comedians who wanted compromise on Trump, who said they had compromise on Trump. And so there you go. I mean, he was. I mean, that's like the Daily Mail has that recording. He was very eager to work with two Russian nationals. Very eager, as long as they had information on Trump. See, Democrats purchased a Steele dossier compiled with one active intelligence official of that country, according to, I think it was Vanity Fair, or Esquire, Vanity Fair, I think. Or actually, according to the actual document, which is completely fabricated. The people who believe the most nonsense are people who are wonderful, highly educated on the left. It's like, if they just get CNN and James Clapper to say it's true, they'll believe it. Like, oh, it's true. Yes, it has to be true. So gullible, you can't believe. And the biggest hypocrites on the planet, too. So if you're a Democratic congressman saying that Trump should be indicted for his role, and you allow, or you have people that you are part of allowing 7 Hollywood producers and staffers to just roam around freely for 5 hours and bang on doors. And it's like, here, we can go ahead and, this is the Daily Mail. Daily Mail. Stephen Colbert crew members, including Triumph, the insult comic dog creator Robert Smigel, are arrested by cops at the House of Representatives for unlawful entry after Adam Schiff left them in. They might not have even have been Adam Schiff, but they had to, like, name drop somebody. It was like, to them, it's like a nightclub. Oh, I know the owner. I know the owner. And so, this is the Daily Mail. The The group are facing similar charges to many of those charged with roles in 2 years ago. It's the same charges. This is the Daily Mail. The same charges. Okay? But with Democrats, it's just horseplay and, a prank. Oh, they were just filming. They didn't want to end anyone's life. It's like, well, look at the loss of life. It was primarily, almost all of the loss of life was supporters of President Trump, which is something Democrats ignore. Also, an unarmed woman, which is something the hypocritical Democratic Party and very hypocritical, disingenuous, dishonest, duplicitous Democratic Party activists ignore also. But that's another story we won't get into. So, you can't find more two-faced people on the planet than the morally superior. Like, oh my goodness, oh, everything is just... See, what happened is they've jettisoned... This is really the issue. They've jettisoned any notion of God or religion or spirituality, and what fills their soul now is politics. Ever since 2016, when I want Hillary, Trump 2024, or Clinton, DeSantis 2024, I want a rematch because it broke them. Donald Trump, the man they used to watch, because all of these wonderful, wonderful, highly educated liberals watch Donald Trump all the time in The Apprentice, and they were totally fine with him. They would have embraced his rear end. They would have been in line to shake his hand and tell him how wonderful he is before 2016. They are just the most duplicitous when it comes to looking at Trump and looking at their own political side. Well, Trump is worse. Well, that doesn't make you better. And Trump isn't worse. Trump is not worse than Mashed Potato Brains Joe, who is presiding over an absolute catastrophe in terms of the economy. It's only going to get worse, and I predicted all of this in September of 2021, and I wrote about that in the Federalist also. I predicted in the Federalist. The article is below in the description section. Hit subscribe to this channel, ladies and gentlemen. Very interesting how Adam Schiff wants Trump indicted, but he actually, according to the Daily Mail and others, allowed the 7 people who were arrested and charged, he allowed them into the building, which is absolutely hilarious. It's hilarious in terms of looking at it from the vantage point of how duplicitous they all are. Give me your thoughts below. Hit subscribe. I'll be back. Share these segments everywhere, ladies and gentlemen. Hit subscribe to the Stock Market Crash channel and the Bitcoin Crash at 10,000 or lower. I have segments on there right now. Go ahead and share those segments everywhere and subscribe there. Thank you.